My name is Sarah and I just love to talk about movies. Today we're going to talk about Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. One of my favorite movies that came out a couple years ago now is Turning Red. I love that movie. I thought that Disney really hit it out of the park. I was really surprised and it made me laugh and it made me cry and it's so entertaining. And I was kind of expecting something similar with Ruby Gillman. Ruby Gillman is about a teenage Kraken and her family who live on a small seaside town, and her family has completely integrated into the human world. She's a senior in high school and prom is coming up, and she really wants to go and, be with her friends and whatnot. And there is an accident where she falls into the sea, and that triggers a change in her that causes her to become a giant kraken. And with that transformation, her mother shares some details with her about their family and how only the women in their family can become giant krakens and she can too, or krakens, whatever. That is a secret that she's been keeping from her up until now. So with that knowledge, Ruby decides to find out more about herself. She goes into the ocean to find her grandmother and find out more about their family, which she does, and sort of decides to take things into her own hands as far as how she's going to live her life from then on. There is a confrontation between Ruby and her mother, as of course there was gonna be, and also between her and the antagonist, culminating in her and her grandmother and her mother coming together, and ends with her being able to go to prom with her crush. So sweet. So sweet. We don't have to do this to young adults and teenagers and the children that are probably watching this movie. We don't have to do this, okay? We don't have to act like everything is hormones, everything is emotional with teenagers, that they don't deserve to have like nuances and real character development in a story. We're supposed to believe. We're suspending reality consistently throughout this movie, and we're supposed to believe that no one notices not only that they're blue and have 4 fingers, but that they don't have hair, and that their bodies are basically like Gumby, like made out of Play-Doh, super stretchy. What is this? And they're claiming to be Canadian, which is cute and funny, but also no, that is not enough. No, it's not. Her mother, Agatha, being a real estate agent, I think was a really great choice for her character. It requires you to be very aggressive, like a go-getter, to be very persuasive when speaking to other people, and I think that was a great choice. Her dad having his own little store and a ASMR channel where he builds like ships in a bottle is cute and funny and very of the times. That's what it feels like. It feels like we've kind of sacrificed true character development and an interesting story to be of the times, with cell phones, integrating social media, and having that be like a critical detail that determines how the story kind of develops, was a bit of a bummer. It was, not because it exists, but because of the way they use it in the story. I was trying to figure out how old everybody was supposed to be, because they're supposed to be seniors in high school. And at this point, I was expecting for someone to talk about college, for there to be references to them as, younger, as kids, and then as, preteens entering middle school and then into high school. I was very curious about how they all kind of met and ended up, as a group, as a unit together, besides, just having a gamer kid, just having an emo kid, just having a drama kid as part of a group of, like, a diverse group of friends. I was like, okay, we're doing this again? Because it's young adults, teen stuff, I was hoping that music would play like a stronger role here. References to therapy. There's a lot of modern stuff that just seem to be a placeholder for actual character development. Like Grandmama talks about going to therapy for anger, I'm assuming, but we don't have any basis for that. So her saying it was just like, okay, good, sure, because of insert here thing that you did that made you think that you should go to therapy. That would have been giving us more character development. Like if she destroyed a city, like an underwater city or something, because she was pissed off, it would make sense for her to mention that with the context. But for her to just say it is like, oh, okay. Also, stuff like therapy, her mentioning bioluminescence, I'm like, isn't that like a human term for things? Like a human science term for things? You're a kraken or a kraken, you live underwater. Certain words and concepts to me are like, where did you get that from? Why would you use that term for that? So there were things that were constantly taking me out of the story. First of all, Ruby thinking that she can just Hulk out at any time bugged me. It's like, you're destroying people's homes and roads and all kinds of stuff because you mad. And it's like, oh, there's those teenage hormones again. There's that excuse for this kind of behavior. Teenagers doing the opposite of what is in their best self-interest, even to them own selves. Like her wanting to spend time with her friends and wanting to go to prom, it was kind of disappointing. I could see that. But they were calling her, trying to like spend time with her, maybe mention that the boy that she has a huge, enormous crush on is looking for her with roses sticking out of his backpack. Because she has a secret sea bestie, she has totally lost sight of her real friend group, which I was like, girl, what? Because she thinks that this is the only other person that she could talk to, it was kind of like, eee. And then finding out that she is not a teenager, that she's not a child, that she's actually a mermaid that is a full grown, who's been pretending to be a teenager this whole time, but still, even after the jig was up, talks like a teenager. Her like waving goodbye to everybody and saying cooches, whatever it was, I immediately was like, oh, y'all stole that. Y'all stole that from Living Single, when Regine, the character of Regine, played by Kim Fields, every time she left the room, she would say smooches. Smooches! So when I heard it, I was like, who did this? Who took this from this wonderful TV show from the 90s? Who did it? So just in case you didn't know, that's exactly where that came from. Also, where is the king? Nobody mentions it. Nobody talks about it. We assume that he was killed or died or something, but you never see him. So strange and weird. Also, everybody's naked. Did y'all notice that? Because I noticed that. There were just a lot of things that were like, The more the movie went on, the more that you could see Agatha, the mother's character, being like, yeah, this is not really the move for me. Not only because of the war, foaming at the mouth kind of thing, but because there's not really a lot of room for her to express herself and say, hey, I want to do things a bit differently. It seems like everybody does the same thing, and it's the ocean. So I was expecting a lot more interesting designs in terms of the palace, the kingdom. I was expecting it to be enormous, and I wasn't expecting it to be so close to where they live, above ground. I was expecting to see, I was kind of expecting to see more fantastical creatures that are real. Like, you have krakens, you have mermaids, and that's it. Those are the only sea creatures that we thought were fantasy that are real in this world. There were just some things that are missing that I was expecting to see. Definitely more music playing a role. The fact that they hadn't, I don't know put foundation on, put makeup on to make themselves more human skin colored and have more than 4 fingers. That was crazy. I'm like, you... And they would do it over and over. That was the thing. They would reference the I'm Canadian over and over and over again. Her having that thing on her backpack, and when that tour bus was going by and they were like, is she blue? She's like, ha ha ha, I'm Canadian. And they're like, oh, that explains why she's blue and has 4 fingers. I couldn't get over it, guys. I love animated movies and cartoons and whatnot, but it was a bit of a miss for me, and I would give it a 2 out of 5. I would recommend it if you just want something really light and funny and a little weird. There are some scenes in it that I was not expecting. I'm not saying this movie is predictable in some places. Her having a crush but feeling very shy to like tell him, the whole promposal things, which I know have become a thing in the past few years, which I'm like, okay. But like I said, it's very of the times, very modern. So there's so many modern day references that are making it into the movie that I feel like it's just kind of sucking the real, like, genuine character development and interesting elements out of the freaking story just to make room for those things. But that's just my opinion. You all let me know what you think. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.